my ego held me back from achieving profitable status more than anything else did. And it was that one thing that I could not overcome because of how I started trading and what happened to me at the start. So just a brief kind of run through my journey as a trader is here. I got funded 300 grand. First, I say 6 to 8 months, but it was like 3 to 6 months. That first 3 to 6 months, my ego was, probably further up here in this graph of, well, the valley of despair. And I like to bring it up to a lot of people that start because everyone goes through their own version of this in trading anyway. And you kind of get a false sense of confidence or beginner's luck at the start before you actually earn that confidence and earn that wisdom and experience through repetition and time. Right, that's all it is, repetition and time. So I basically got some pretty crazy beginner luck and hit 2 to 3 payouts on these funded accounts. And I thought that I was the best, right? And as soon as I went on a losing streak, my ego was attached to everything that I did and every trade that I took. So I was just getting beat down when I was on this losing streak, and then I was in drawdown on both accounts. Decided, I'll use some of the payout money to start a personal account. Chucked like 2 grand, I think, into the personal account. I doubled it in a month. And then my ego took another jump. And then I lost that. I lost over half of it. So I went back to where I was and lower. And then I lost the 2 funded accounts. But I never blamed it on myself. My ego did not allow me to admit that I was at fault. So here I was blaming the strategy. Here I was blaming, everything else except me, and which it was me. I thought I was doing everything right, but I wasn't. I had no idea. As I said, you go from not knowing, and then you build your wisdom, right? I thought I knew it all. So then I went through a cycle of strategy hopping, and this was pretty grim, to be honest. And I had no real direction. So many traders that I knew were doing well, and I did not know what I was doing wrong. So I was trying to strategy hop, shiny object syndrome. This person's trading this now. This person's trading this now. Oh, what are they doing? What are they doing? Again, doing everything except working on the craft myself. I was just thinking there was something else out there, that some kind of magic system that will propel me to being a billionaire. Something stupid like that, right? So then I just had to take a break completely and fully kind of unlearn everything and just destroy my ego. Not so much destroy my ego, but find something that helped fulfill my ego. Now, when I say ego, I refer to, it's like a psychological defense mechanism that'll prevent you from seeing things as they are, prevent you from seeing things objectively. It's kind of that voice that you've got saying that you're right, you're doing nothing wrong, blaming everything else except yourself, because why would you want to blame yourself? You're perfect, right? You tend to develop kind of an illusion of control where you think you have control over almost every trade in the market, every action, every single little detail, when really, like, the markets are so complex, you don't know half the shit that's going on. I mean, I probably don't either, but to be honest, you don't need to, but I mean, you really know nothing. You know the surface level of things. You're just trading glorified chart patterns if you're trading smart money concepts. Glorified fucking support and resistance. That's all it is. Not that there's anything wrong with either of those strategies, but I don't know, some people that trade smart money, some people that trade all these different strategies have big egos for no reason. They've got a huge ego about their strategy being the best, and then they start ramping up the marketing for their courses. Hilarious, right? It's fucking hilarious. So, also within the context of trading, ego is just overestimating your ability and your knowledge. Hence, referring back to this as well. Refusing to adapt, blaming external forces rather than your own decisions, which is true, which is a big one. Seeking validation. You see that a lot on Instagram, on Twitter, Discord, like trading communities. And you have a lot of people clashing, a lot of egos clashing. A lot of people, because they've been in the group for maybe a year, they might know the concepts all well and good, but they haven't made any money at all. And they just sit there all day and talk and put shit on others for trying to learn it. I don't agree with that, and it's funny I say that because I was in that position maybe 2 or 3 years ago where I was in a trading community, and I was at that point where I knew nothing and I was in drawdown. So trust me, like, I've been there and I can see it from a mile away when it's happening to someone else. They're sitting there bashing other people for learning when they're still in a learning phase themselves. So that's why trading communities can be a bit of a gift and a curse. You get a lot of value from them, but just stay out of the chats and just learn the content. That's all you need. So, and then overconfidence as well can come into play. Well, it kind of links to overestimating your ability. Again, all of these things relate back to my story and what I went through, and how I actually overcame that was a long journey and a long self-reflection. I had to build, a level of self-awareness that I'd never had ever, because I wanted to make trading work. I had nothing else really going for me at the time. So I had to make this work, or it was, flipping burgers. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, I had to, cultivate humility and then focus on the process over the outcome. Too many people will be so results oriented rather than looking at the process. Right, not focusing on the bigger picture and focusing on their daily, day-to-day, profit and loss. You have to acknowledge that the markets are so complex and you just can't predict every move. If you do, fair fucking play, you should be a billionaire. And having that strict risk system is also key. But in terms of self-awareness, again, journaling your performance and journaling your decision-making will be one of the best things you can do for yourself. If you don't track something, how can you improve it? How can you improve your decision making? You can track it. How can you improve just your trading in general? You track it. If you don't track it, how are you going to know? You might remember something, but you're not going to remember. But you're not going to remember however many trading days there are in a year, in a month. Like, you're not going to be able to look back and see how you've changed, how you've adapted, how you've molded yourself as a person and as a trader. And using losses as learning opportunities rather than resulting rather than referring to them as something bad. Only refer to something as bad if you didn't follow your system and didn't follow your set rule set that you have. Because when you get to focusing on the outcome as bad or good and referring that to as a win as good, as a loss is bad, you might take a win, but it's complete luck. It wasn't in your system. And if you associate with that being good, you're just going to break your rules all the time. And that's where your ego comes into play. Your ego is just going to be like, oh, well, this worked once. I'm going to do it again because I'm better than that. Don't let the fear of failure make you choose the path where failure is guaranteed. If you just measure your success by adhering to the strategy rather than short-term outcomes, short-term trade sequences, then you just have to be patient. If you're doing everything right, all you need to do is just be patient and recognize that ego and just either kill it or fulfill it. Right? If you can't fully kill it, find something that will fulfill you and use that as that fuel to fuel your ego. Now, I've recommended some books. I haven't read this book, so I can't really comment on it, but it makes sense. Ego is the enemy. It is on my list. Trust me. There's a few I still need to get through before I get to it, and The Psychology of Money is a good one that I have read, actually. And it talks about, behavior over knowledge and principles of money psychology. Avoiding common pitfalls, emotional and behavioral insights, and avoiding comparison, another one. So, you are your own worst enemy, essentially. You need to become a student and don't be afraid to take the low position. Pause. And don't look down on others as well for learning something new, because you were once there, and there's nothing worse than shitting on people for something that they're just trying. Hopefully everyone has a very successful new year. I hope everyone is well, everyone has a great year, and more to come soon.